Cool. Now it's popping me the login. Hit sign in with Google. Hit, let's do a new account. Sign in. Yeah, it's logged in. Look at this. It's a live app. Guys, this is like a full stack live app. Profile page not built yet, but that's fine. And I can sign out, right? And I can sign in again with the other email that I already got. And you basically have authentication over here, and then you got like table editor. You can see like the profile with all of these new emails. And basically your authentication table users are managing all of these things. And last but not least, by the way, I've got the email verification already. Okay, so it looks like this, right? It looks like this. It took me a long time, but if I just click confirm your email. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Sean. So for today, I'd like to show you how to set up your user authentication using Supabase and Google Auth and your email sign up. Why this is important? Because this is like the backbone of every startup, every website, or every mobile app, which is, you need to really manage your user base well. And I've done, raw UserAuth, user authentication, user management before. But later I realized that Supabase has done a really good job on this. So I've been using this template for quite some time, and I wanted to just share with this community and let you know, what's the simplest way to set it up. I know a lot of people in this channel did not come from a computer science background directly. If you do, welcome as well. But if you did not, don't worry. Just follow the instruction. You'll be able to do the same thing. And yeah, this is just some of the code that I've been using recently, and I'd like to summarize it and share. And if it's too slow or too fast, let me know. Happy to chat more in the comment section or in my Discord. Cool. Let's just get started. So for today, we have the title Google Auth with Supabase. The problem statement is very simple. Again, people don't know how to set up their user auth using Supabase and Google and email. And the requirements are very simple. Firstly, we want to build this login page. Secondly, we want to build the authentication context and the auth callback. For people who are more familiar with user login or doing it from a developer perspective, it's probably easier for you to understand. But for people who don't know, in a very simple way to explain it, it's basically like, imagine you have Airbnb, right? And Airbnb has all sorts of pages. There's like a listing of Airbnb, there's a payment page, there's like, messaging your host and everything. And you don't want to log in to every single page, right? So in order not to do that, if you want to just log in, like user login once and for all, what you need is a thing called authentication context. Well, that means that you're going to define this context and say, like, if the user has logged in at the login page, then you're going to wrap the rest of the page under this context so that, the rest of the pages know that this user has already logged in and it's like full stack connected with, all the cloud and database and everything. And you're going to need this thing called a callback, which is essentially like if your, Supabase or Google Cloud has authenticated a user using their Gmail to log in, then you use a callback to your own app to let you know that, oh, it's already done, right? So hopefully that helps to understand what it means. And last but not least, we need to set up the Supabase for Google Authentication login, which is, I think, in my opinion, very well integrated together already. In terms of the tools that we're using today, of course, Supabase, Google Cloud, and we're going to code everything in Cursor, and then we're going to launch the front end on Next.js. So let's get started. Cool. So I've got my cursor open right here. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to clone this project from before, which is launch an app. Watch that video that I posted before for, like how did we set it up. But, everything is on GitHub, so feel free to go back to my GitHub to clone it. So I'm already here. It's github.com/launch-n-app. And if you go here, you just click on code over here, and you just copy this HTTPS git clone. You go back to your favorite terminal, and let me just make it bigger for you so that it's easier to see. I'm currently in this location where I have all the projects that I've launched on this channel. And what you got to do is I got to do git clone this, and you want to give it a new name, right? I'm going to call it auth Supabase-Google. Okay, so now it's created. Let's go inside of that cd auth Supabase Google. As you can see, you have all these apps. But one thing to be careful about is that if you do git status, you can see that the current GitHub repo is still valid. What does that mean? That means that if you change anything in this current folder, even if it's already called a different thing, it's called auth Supabase Google, you're still going to commit to this original GitHub. So what we want to do is that we want to detach all of these things and make sure that we're doing the brand new stuff. So what you need to do is that you're going to need to remove, which is rm and the rf, whatever that means, dot git, right? And then I think there's say no such file. Wait, hold on for a second. So I think it's -rf dot git. Cool. And if you do git status, you see all this kind of stuff. That means like your git has been removed. It's like just checking the entire folder. So I'm gonna do git init one more time, and as you can see, like it's creating this new git for it, and it's called auth Supabase -Google. Okay, and we're just gonna commit it to GitHub. So git status. Try it one more time. You can see like it's all of these files that's already here. Let's just do git git add everything, git commit -m, initial setup, do git push. So far git push doesn't work because this directory doesn't exist on GitHub yet. So let's just set it up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my main directory, go to repository, and I'm gonna create a new thing. So let's call it auth Supabase Google. Okay, and I'm gonna make it public as usual. Create the repository, very straightforward, just like before. Scroll all the way down. You see this existing repository command line. Copy that, come back here, paste it here, hit enter. Okay, cool. So let's say git status, git push. Okay, I think it should be fine. Let's refresh it and see what happens. Cool. So all of the app is now in this new GitHub repo called auth Supabase Google, right? And what we're gonna do next is that let's just do a quick run, npm run dev, to make sure this is functioning. Oh, firstly, because we haven't installed any packages here, so we gotta do npm install, and that's it. So what it's gonna do is that it's gonna install all of the things in this package.json to copy this launch an app clone that we just did, right? While it's doing it, maybe we can just wait for another, 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know how long it takes. Okay, cool. 5 to 10 seconds. Great. So let's do npm run dev. Okay. And then when it's launching this thing locally, you can just do command click to localhost 3000. As you can see, it jumped right over here so that we're launching this app. Well, this is still the main page. And if you remember, like from another video that we posted for hosting a backend using Fast API Python and Cool Cloud, we already had this new place called test Fast API. Fast API. Let's just load it real quick. And I think it's now fetching the data from Google Cloud. Okay, it's still valid. Right now it's still working. So this is kind of like a backend stuff that you set up, which is under this app router API and test Fast API. And this page is using all of those things. Okay, cool. But this is not super relevant to what we're going to do today. Right now, we have got a fully functional app that we cloned from Launch an App. And what we're going to do next is to start to set up the login page, as we said. Okay, cool. First thing first, I have a lot of distractions over here. Let me just open the folder to enter the relevant folder, which is auth Google for this video. Okay, so I normally save everything under Shantek Stories, and if I go to auth Supabase Google, let's open that. Okay, and I need to open the terminal one more time and do npm run dev. Okay, and if we just refresh this, I think it still should still work. Cool. So let's start building. The first thing we need is a login page. So I've already written this, and feel free to just eventually I'm gonna commit this to my GitHub. So I'll just mainly explain the code because I realized that if I write it real time, sometimes I got into some trouble. So I want to make sure that I'm talking about this most efficiently and trying to spend more time explaining the code. So first thing is that let's navigate to app, and then click on our page. And in this direction, let's click on the folder and let's do login, right? And let's create a file under that called page.tsx. And now I'm gonna just create this login page right here. Okay, you're gonna see some errors because there's some functions that we haven't defined here yet. But let's just save it real quick. And I want to split the terminal so that I have one launch terminal and another one for me to play around with. So what you're gonna see right now over here is that you see like there are two things. One is called AuthContext. Remember we explained that earlier, all right? We're gonna define it. Second thing is called login form, which is I'm gonna explain this code, right? If you scroll all the way down, you can see like this return thingy where I define the entire login form over here, right? And then the other thing is like, of course, the auth context. So let's define each of them. But let me also please explain what is happening here, right? So it's happening with one thing. Because it's a JSX file, meaning that it's like a combo of JavaScript / TypeScript and HTML, we can check the structure of the file at the return place, right? With the return, you can see that it's returning this login form, okay? So right now, I believe if we refresh this, there should be some error coming up. So if I hit console, well, it's still fine because I think because we're not going to login page. But if you try that, you can see /login. Something is wrong. Okay, so let's go back here. If we refresh it, okay, now it's telling me like things are missing. So firstly, let me try to hide this. We have to have the user. So firstly, let me try to add this login form, right? So what this login form is that I'm gonna save it in a place called components. So if I just click on any of those files over here, right? And if I click on components, and I'm gonna create this file called loginform.tsx, okay? And now again, I'll copy my login form from my existing project. 1 second. Cool. Let's double check. Okay. So my login form has, again, like remember when we check a file, we gotta check this return, and the return shows me the structure, right? Basically it's asking me if I want to sign up, create an account, or log in, sign in, right? And it's gonna show me any error that's possible, and eventually, it's gonna have a form for me to set up my email. We're gonna see my email address, password, forget your password, all those basic things, right? You'll be able to see it once it's like launched, but right now because it's still missing some of the components and functions, that's why it's not showing up yet. And eventually you want to sign in with Google. Okay. Please check out the GitHub for copy pasting this file if you're following this step by step. And the next step is that let's fix each one of those bugs, right? So now we have this login form. We need this forgot password modal. Okay, so let me also get that. So it's called forgot password modal.tsx. Okay, paste it here. And now this one is also missing the same thing, which is AuthContext. Login form is missing the same thing called AuthContext. So we have to fix AuthContext right now. Okay, so let me fix this bug first. Okay, yeah, it's still important. So that comes to our next step, which is build the AuthContext and the authentication callback. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create another folder in parallel with components. Again, let's click somewhere random, click on folder, and I'm gonna create this thing called contexts. Okay, and then I'm gonna create a file under it, call it AuthContext, I believe. Yeah. So just to be mindful that you gotta use capital letter authcontext.tsx, okay? And I'm gonna copy my authContext right here. Again, let's double check that everything that we need is already set up properly over here. So for authContext, what it does is that you might see like, oh, it's very, very complicated, right? But eventually, what it does really is that let's check the return. It's a wrapper around its children where it's providing the authentication provider that, remember, like earlier we mentioned that authentication, you need to wrap the entire pages under one umbrella, right? And the place we're going to do it is layout.tsx, okay? So you need this auth context thing to be set up so that you don't have to worry about logging anymore for the rest of the pages. You don't have to worry about it when you're testing your backend and stuff. Okay. So again, try to copy this from my GitHub. It's the same folder, context, AuthContext, right? So cool. So now you see like we need to install Supabase, right? So let's figure this out, right? Let's figure this out. If I refresh this, you see like now we're missing this utils of Supabase. Why are we missing this util of Supabase? Because if you see like in the auth context, what are we importing from it? We're importing Supabase. We're importing, even from Supabase-js, all these kind of things. This Supabase is a client that, allow us or as a user to be able to query from a database about the user information, right? That's why it's important. And we need to create this client to enable our app to talk to your database. That's the whole purpose of it, right? So let's just do it. We need the utils of Supabase, and the place, as we mentioned, is so let's go down here, open a new folder, call it utils, okay? And then I'm gonna create this file, calling it supabase.ts, okay? And this file is actually very simple. So let me explain. You're gonna create eventually, again, like this is a TypeScript file. It's not a JSX, not a TSX, right? There's no HTML in this. It doesn't really provide you with like a front end that will show you what kind of form it is. It's just a function. And what this function does is that it's exporting this Supabase function, which earlier in other places, we're importing the Supabase from this Supabase.ts from utils. What it does is that it reads the keys from Supabase that you're going to save in your local environment, and also it's going to, basically return the authentication JSON, where it's going to show you, if all these information that are important for creating a client to talk to your Supabase. All right. So looks like, we haven't got the package properly. I believe, so let me actually just try it. So npm install, and I'm going to do this, right? I think I bumped into the error earlier. Like even if right now it's like this. Oh, cool. So now the util is done, right? The util is done. If we go back to the context file, you see the error is gone, right? So now the context is actually live. It's active, right? So the place where we're gonna import and put this context for is, oh, hold on. I think we're able to test it already. So if I go to do like this /login. Oh, so now we're missing the environment variables. Okay. Looks like if we want to do, to show the front end, I need to make sure that all the backend stuff with Supabase are properly set up. But we're almost there. We're almost like done. So remember, like right now, your structure is very simple. You have a app/login page where you're going to use this login form, which is saved in components. That also has a function for ForgotPassword. Again, this is a template that's going to be very helpful for your future usage, right? And this login form basically is going to allow you to sign in with Google, right? And then after you sign in, you're going to have, use this AuthContext to wrap it around your layout. But, let me show you how we're going to do that. So if you go click into app/layout.tsx, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to replace this layout completely with this new layout. Make it a little bit easier to watch. Okay. So firstly, like in my previous code, I had a TopBar, but I don't think we need that right now. Let me just remove it for now. And ProtectedRoute, that's, for us to make sure that the login is going through some ProtectedRoute, right? So I'm going to use this, but for TopBar, let me just remove it for now. We don't really need that. And for ProtectedRoute, we got to go to components, create this file called ProtectedRoute.tsx, right? Again, I'm going to copy my code over here and I'll explain to you what it is. Right now, I believe the file should be able to, so now no more error. For ProtectedRoute, if you go back to components, what it does is that, again, let's go back to the return. So it returns nothing, right? It's just making sure that anything, you see, like the input is a children, which means that it's a wrapper around the entire app, right? It's just making sure on real time using the use effect that, if there's no user, you have to be pushed to the login page. Because remember, like if you haven't logged in anything, and perhaps your business has a subscription service, if your user hasn't even logged in and they start using your app, that's not good, right? So that's what it's doing. And if it's loading, then return a loading page. That's it. Okay, cool. So if we go back here and refresh it, we're still missing this Supabase key. Okay, so now let's start to set up the Supabase key. We're gonna need a file called, sorry, not folder anymore. Click anywhere in the main directory, click file, call it .m.local, okay? And then what we're gonna do is you're gonna go back to, you're gonna start launching an authentication on Supabase, okay? I'll show you how do we do that. So I already logged in with Supabase. If you haven't logged in, try that. And you see there's a sidebar. If you remember previously, like we already did quite a few things with Supabase in the previous video. How do you set up Supabase with Next.js? And this time, if you click into table editor, if you're an old audience on my channel, you probably already remember, Supabase hero, which is my previous table, where to meet users, thoughts, all these kind of things. For today, we're creating these new two tables. One of them is called profiles. The other one is called subscription. Subscription is for like your subscription service. I don't think it's very important for today, but for profile, it's very important. What you can do is that if I click on definition, you literally just use this query, right? I'm gonna add this query to the GitHub as well, but basically feel free to take a screenshot and put it into ChatGPT to get it out, right? I'm gonna put this query and then go to the SQL editor on the sidebar, open any new snippet and just put it here, right? And then command enter. My table already exists, so it won't recreate it again, right? And I'm gonna create this file just for your purpose, for your information. So create profiles.sql. Okay, I'm gonna put it here, and feel free to go to the GitHub to find this file. And then all you gotta do is come back to Supabase, go to SQL editor, and paste it in a snippet, and just hit run or do command enter if you're using a Mac, right? Cool. So now we have this table profiles, and the next step, what we're gonna do is we need to double check on the authentication. If you go to authentication, you'll be able to see like there's a users table here already. That's what we're intending to do right now, right? So remember, like earlier I say like I've tried to do user signups by myself, but later realized there are a lot of things to do. There's like reset password, there's like verification email, there's like, what about forget my password? All these kind of things are very messy. So I eventually decided that, let me just use Supabase to do this, right? And thanks for following all this way along. I'm guarantee you that if you follow this track to set up Supabase, it's gonna save you so much time, right? I already got the sample code in this GitHub, so check it out, please. And let's continue, right? So for this user, you can either add user individually, you can send invitation, create new user, but that's not what we want to do. We want to use Google, right? So how do we do that? Remember earlier, our code is asking us for this key. We got to get this key and feed it to our code first, right? So all the keys are saved in this place called project setting, right? On the sidebar. You go to project setting, you go to your API, and you see like all those URLs here already, right? So we need three things. One of them is called URL. Another thing is called anon public. Another thing is a service role. So I'm just going to be blocking these to prevent you from watching this, because like I don't know, like perhaps if people like put a lot of requests into this, that's a trouble for me. But right now, what we're trying to do is that we're going to copy these three things and put it into your local environment, right? So please do that yourself. Right, remember this is the public project URL and anon public and your service secret, right? And I'm just gonna copy that into my current code, m.local. Okay. And in order to make it less easier to see, I'm gonna do this. Okay, so I can show you a little bit at the beginning. Basically, firstly, I defined my next public app URL, which is localhost 3000. And then we have the Supabase URL, and we have the Supabase anon key, and we have the Supabase service role key, right? So just do all of these things and hit save and just close it, okay? Cool. So now, if we enlarge this and go back to the file, you see the login page already popped up, okay? Let's give it a try, okay? This is our first attempt. Let's give it a try. So if I do sign in with Google account here, I'm going to pick one of them. If I click onto that, you see there's an error, right? The page is not found. It's looking for auth callback. Remember we say like earlier that if you try to log in with Supabase and Google, they're going to need a signal to send back to your app, right? So if we go back to our Notion, we need this. We need the auth callback, right? So let's do that. So again, the code has already been written, and I'm going to copy paste it here. So what you got to do is going to click on page, right? And you got to click on the new folder, and I'm going to call it auth. And under that, I'm going to create another one, call it callback folder, right? And then under the callback folder, we need to add a file calling it root.ts, okay? And I'm going to paste my code here. Again, follow the exact same steps and you'll be able to do that. And it looks like we need to install a package. I'll explain what this code is doing, right? Let me just install it first. npm install supabase /auth-helpers-next.js. Something is wrong. Looks like I can't really install it. So let me use LLM to fix it. I've used Cursor too much, so I'm getting like slow requests these days. And for Cursor team guys, like they're trying to charge me more for that. I don't want to do that. Cool. Probably because I didn't do the at thingy. Let me try that again. And in the package.json, oh, cool. I think it's done. Cancel, save, overwrite. Yeah, so now we got this callback route. In fact, let's try it first before I explain anything. Okay, let's go back. Let's go to sign in. If I sign in with one of my Gmail. So it got the callback, right? But we landed back on this main page because we haven't done anything else, right? After you log in. But at least, remember like we said that we will not, if the user is not logged in, they should be pushed back to login page. But now no more, right? They're logged in. And I think I did a mistake, which is deleting the top bar. Earlier, the top bar was helping me to log out. So now I need to do this again. But basically, I think it kind of works. But let's go to Supabase to double check if it actually works, right? Let's go to authentication. You see I've got a new user, right? Which is my Gmail. And the provider was Google, okay? And like when is created at, when is sign in. And if you go to your table editor, because your code is going to be interacting with this, you see like it's also set up here, right? It's also set up here. This is not automatic, right? The way I did it is that you need to set up another function here. Remember, like, feel free to try it. If it doesn't work, probably because you didn't set up this function. So what I got to do is you need to go to like database and you click on function. And you see I have this function called handle new user, right? So if I click on this and check it, what it does is that it inserts every new user from the authentication user table into this table called profiles, right? And then it's gonna let it know what's its ID and the email, right? So I can confirm it, okay? So if I if I let's do a quick experimentation, right? If I comment this out, right, and confirm. Now it's not writing it into the profile table anymore, right? So if I try that again, right? If I do let's do login. Oh, right now, okay, I cannot sign out, so there's a little bug. So let's try to do this on. Let me think about what is the right way to do it. So, in fact, let's try that later. But basically, you know, the idea is that you need to make this function so that it's syncing your Supabase authentication table into your actual table where you can do, you know, all the Supabase queries and writing in tables and stuff, right? So I can show you later when we finish this series. Let's confirm that. Okay, cool. So you might be wondering, like, how did it connect with Google Cloud? So the way it did it is that because I already set it up, right? If you check your Google Cloud, remember, like, go to your console. So let's go to the main page. If you go to console.cloud.google.com, you're gonna end up with a new project. You can create a new project. In my case, I'm gonna use this thing called sean-dev.template. And your login is going to be in APIs and services. If you watched one of my previous videos about like where to meet, we also did Google Maps and Google Calendar APIs from here. We go to like credentials over here, and if you click into the OAuth over here, or you need to create a new one if you haven't got it, right? All of this, please watch the previous video. And you remember you have your Google client ID and then your client secret. Of course, I'm going to block this. What you got to do is that you have to come back here and put it in the authentication table where there's a provider section, right? And then you got to scroll down to Google, right? If you expand Google, you see like there's a client ID and client secret where you're going to paste all of these things, client ID and client secret, into Google. So that client, so Supabase and your Google Cloud can be connected with each other, right? And then there's another thing called callback URL. This is for the two of them to talk to each other as well, which is, you know, eventually you're gonna use callback to Supabase, right? You need to copy this, come to Google Client, scroll down, and paste it here. Okay, you can do add URL, but I already have it, so it's showing me that it's duplicated. So I'll delete that, and please remember to hit save. Okay. Cool. So that's how it started working, right? And a few more things, right? So earlier we say that I'm going to explain what this callback does. So this callback is a local callback, first of all, because we had another Supabase callback. This local callback, what it does is that if you scroll down a little bit, you see a bunch of returns, like very messy. But what it really does, by the way, I didn't write this. I used the Claude and ChatGPT to write this. You can totally just use this as a template, or you can prompt your own way through. You can say, hey, I'm in this Next.js framework. I'm using an app router. I want to create this auth/callback file. Please create a template for me. I'm using Supabase and Google Cloud. All these kind of things. You can do that yourself, right? So what does it do? It basically checks, you know, if the authentication, there's an error of it, it needs to redirect itself to login error, right? And then also it needs to ensure that the profile actually exists. Right, so it's gonna do a Supabase query. Remember, this is Supabase. We define it in our utils. Wait, hold on. I think this is not from the util. This Supabase is from Supabase own package. All right, never mind. But from Supabase, it's gonna call from the profiles table, and then if a user actually exists, it needs to upsert this new user's ID, email, and update into that, right? And then it needs to check the ID itself, right? So, and if, you know, the things are right, like you should return like /. Otherwise, if it's wrong, you should /login. And because the login's failed, you have to do login again, right? And remember, all of these are in your layout file. You have to wrap your entire app in the return. Remember, this is a TSX. Check the return. You need to wrap your main children under ProtectedRoute, which is the thing we defined earlier, ProtectedRoute. That is just a use effect to check everything. And also under that, wrap the auth provider under it. So that after you log in, the auth provider will be able to know that, hey, anything that's under me needs to use this user information, right? That's how it works. That's just basically the logic over here, right? And now we gotta allow the user to sign out as well, right? So we're gonna introduce this thing called a TopBar, where I'm gonna allow them to sign out as well. So so I'm gonna go to my components right here, click on that, and I'm gonna say topbar.tsx. I'm gonna paste it here. So I think it probably has something that we don't need either, but oh, I already commented out. This is for Stripe. I'm gonna make another video to show you how to do Stripe with Supabase, right? And basically what this does is that, remember this is the TSX components, go to return, check what's going on over here. I commented out Stripe, but for now, it's gonna show you your app name, and it's gonna show you your user profile drop down. And if the user profile is dropped down, it's going to show you like if they have the profile information and subscription and if they sign out or not. Let's see how does it look, right? So what you got to do is that because this is a top bar, I want to see it on every page. So I want to put it in layout, right? So I'm going to put it right under ProtectedRoute. Top bar. Oops. Let me do the autocomplete and save. I go back here to check the user. You can see like I've got a top bar here already. Make it smaller. And what this top bar does is that, remember, like we have a drop down. If you click on it, the drop down is going to come out, and I can check the profile information. Well, I haven't defined this profile page yet because that is for the user to manage your subscription using Stripe. So that's fine. I can go back, right? It's always here. So I can sign out right now. After I signed out, your Supabase profiles should be able to, we didn't capture sign out, sign in, but yeah, that's fine. But right now, if you see, like, let's say I sign in with a new account, right? Remember what we tried earlier? If we don't have that function in authentication, in database, functions, 3 dots, edit function. If we comment this out, or if you never define this function, let's try it. Confirm that, right? And I'm gonna log in with a new email, right? Sign in with Google, right? I'm gonna log in with like a completely new email. All right, it's logged in, but you know, if I go to Supabase, if I go to authentication, you see like, if I refresh this, it's here, but is it in the profiles? Let's see. It's not, right? So your actual table is where you're going to query from to write your application does not have the information. But if we add it back, let's go back to database, function, edit this function one more time, uncomment it, insert the ID as an email, confirm it, and then if you come over here, well, you still don't see it because like that's already delayed. Let me go back to my authentication. I want to delete this user and try it one more time, right? Delete this user, go back to login. If I refresh it, still in the login page, let's sign out. If we sign in with Google one more time, right? If I sign in with the new email, the same email one more time, I go back to Supabase, refresh on the authentication users table, it's here. But if you go to table editor and check profiles, it's also here, right? So that function does the job for us to sync the authentication table where Supabase is going to help you to manage everything to your profiles table, right? So this is a very, very convenient. And last but not least, I think there's something we could try as well. I'm not sure. Oh, there was an error. Hold on. Yeah, cool. I'm not sure if I can sign up with the email. Need to account sign up. If I do a different account, and sign up with email. Let's see. Oh, I haven't set up the page yet. It's gonna do another callback. It's gonna go to another page called verify-email. So I think I can create that for you. 1 second. I have the page from somewhere, from another project. So I gotta open this folder. Open new folder. And we gotta have the verify email page. Okay. So we need this, remember, like we need this verify dash email URL. So let's go back here under app router, click on layout, click on a folder, type verify dash email, right? And create a file, call it page.tsx, right? Paste it here. Again, this is going to be in GitHub. Just pull it in and do it yourself. All right. Now we have this verify email page. Again, this is a TSX file. Go to return, see what it's doing. You see, we're going to do check email. We send a verification to your email, and back to login now. And all of the rest of them are just functions that make sure that things work, right? If it's already confirmed, then push yourself back to the original domain, and do some set some countdown, set some time interval, handle like resend email, all those kind of things. Feel free to use this function yourself, right? So you see, like it's already loading it, right? Check your email; it should be sent to this email, and like you can click on the verification email to make sure the things are working. And I'm gonna. Oh, this is risky. I'm gonna move my email to another place. But let's see if it's showing up soon. That's another thing about Supabase, which is when it's very slow, it sometimes doesn't verify your email quickly. And what we can do is we can come here and go to authentication, right? And we can check the email templates, right? And you can see like there's a confirm sign up email, right? And there's some like email rate limits and restrictions that you have to pay attention to, right? There's just a lot of things that you need to set up with. So normally, like I think I would normally just do, to be honest, I'll just normally do like Google login instead of worrying about sign up with your own email. Or what you can do is that you could totally like do, create another table and let users input their password and stuff, right? And in this case, I mean, let me see if I can set it up real quick. Or maybe perhaps I'm just still waiting for that email. Because I remember like I was testing it before. Verification could take like 10 minutes to 15 minutes sometimes when Supabase is very slow. But signing in with Google Auth is like extremely fast. And I think there's some other authentication tools that are very helpful for people to use, right? And feel free to try them. I think let me see if there's anything I could do to make this actually work. Otherwise, I think we can just call it for this because it's not really that important. We showed you the most important part already. Let's see. Yeah, it's taking a very long time to do verification. Authentication, and in our code, basically we have reset password. Let me just do the rest of the page as well. So I also had a folder, I had a link called update-password, and I can create this page, .tsx. So it's very handy for you to, set it up and do things, right? You can just use this as a template for a future project. And what this does is that, update password, go to return, check, please re-enter your password, password updated successfully, all these kind of things, right? It's very handy. If I create another page calling it reset password, all of these are not an issue if you're using like Google Auth and stuff, right? So if I do reset password, come over here, hit save, like say, went back to login. So let me see if the user, yeah, you see like the user is already here in Supabase, right? But then the provider type is unknown, and last sign is still waiting for verification. So I'm literally like waiting for their verification email, which is not sent yet. It could take some time. I'm not sure if it's gonna be sent immediately right now, but I really hope they make it faster. But yeah, this is pretty slow. If you guys know how to do this, let me know. But yeah, like, so previously I tested it, it was working. Normally it takes 10 to 15 minutes. I don't think we have time to wait for that. But yeah, I think that's about it for most of the code that we needed for login and stuff. And remember, like, it's all about like giving it a shot and try it out, right? And I'm gonna go to login one more time and sign in with Google, and I'm gonna sign in. You see, like, it's very smooth, and you can deploy this to Vercel, and then just make sure that you add the right URL to it. Perhaps we can just try this right now real quick while we're waiting for the email confirmation. And you can say add new project. Let's just deploy it, right? And it's linked here, auth Supabase Google, import, and environment variable. Basically, I'm just going to go back to my page, and I'm going to copy my environment variables on my other screen, so that it won't be shown to the rest of the world, which will be problematic. And so, new window, go back to this, and I'm gonna open my environment variable for this. Okay, copy that, deploy. Okay, let's just deploy it. And normally you can do npm run build just to test things out locally. Because sometimes there's some packages that you're not using, and then the building just fail. It's very annoying. But if you just test it locally at the same time, actually I remember I think we didn't really push the latest code, right? So let's just do git add, git commit -m, update it with login, git push. Okay, so the new push hopefully will also get to build over here, but let's just wait for until this build is done. Looks like local build was like successful, so Next.js build should be successful as well. Cool. So if I go to dashboard of this project, if you go to like deployment of it, and I can see like the second one was failed. We can double check why it's failed. There's something related to auth helper version. So we can try that local build as well. But essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and come back here. And I think it'd say that it's something related to the package. So I'm going to find where the package is. But perhaps, I just do package.json and hit it. Local build was fine. So perhaps, it's like the version that I edited manually last time. So yeah, say that version doesn't exist. So yeah, git add, git commit -m, update the package issue. I always have a lot of typo when I'm doing git commit, git push. Let's just launch this one more time, and then we should be able to see that in like fairly quickly. Yeah, while we're building it, like, remember, we just need to make sure that everywhere that you're using localhost, you need to replace it with this URL link that you're going to be using, right? So there are places like on Supabase, if you go to like, let me double check. So if you go to like authentication, go to like provider. Oh no, I don't think it's here. It should be somewhere. Let me check. Here, right? So what you need is like for Google Cloud, you need this URL over here. Remember to use like HTTPS. All right. And then for authorized redirection, you have to do the same thing. Copy that, paste it here. /auth/v1 /v1/callback. Okay. and hit save. So that, you know, like Google Cloud knows what's going on. For your authentication, I think it's somewhere like in the policy, or is it like in the user somewhere? URL configuration. Oh yeah, you gotta like paste this one here instead of localhost. And same thing, you gotta add the URL for all of those things. / auth / callback, I believe. Save URL. You gotta do like and / login as well. / login. Save URL. Yeah, this should do the job most of the time. And then I'm gonna go back to the deployment. Okay, it's ready. Let's click on it. Cool. Now it's popping me the login. Hit sign in with Google. Hit, you know, let's do a new account. Sign in. Yeah, it's logged in. Look at this. It's a live app. Guys, this is like a full stack live app. Profile page not built yet, but that's fine. And I can sign out, right? And I can sign in again with the other email that I already got. And you basically have authentication over here, and then you got like table editor. You can see like the profile with all of these new emails. And basically your authentication table users are managing all of these things. And last but not least, by the way, I've got the email verification already. Okay, so it looks like this, right? It looks like this. It took me a long time, but if I just click confirm your email, let's see what would happen. I think that previously we used localhost for that, so it's giving me this localhost email. But you know, like let me just refresh it. And something is wrong here. Module not found. I don't know. Like, let me just rerun this. Yep. So if I rerun this, because like previously, remember like when we signed up with our own email, it was still localhost. That's why like it's like that. But right now we replace the user's sort of URL configuration from. Oh, wait, why is it still this? We should change this. Save. Okay. We should change this. Save it successfully. And yeah, now this new email has been sign up, has been logged in. Let's double check. Let's go to authentication and check users. You can see like the email one, this row, no longer saying that it's waiting. It's already pretty much verified. Okay. Cool. I think this is good. This does all the job that we wanted it to. And if we sign out with the logged in version, if we just sign in with the version that we had earlier, sign in, I can save it. Yep, it's good. Cool. I think this is great. And yeah, you can basically use this in any SaaS to manage your authentication system using Supabase and Google Cloud. And I'm gonna publish this GitHub anyways. And let me know if you have any questions. Leave a comment down below in the comment section or chat with me on Discord. And see you next time. Peace. Thank you very much.